Hello everybody on YouTube. It's Tara and Adonis here. I just couldn't make the video without him this time. Um I am here to make a really important Mirena IUD update. So I'm just going to start from the beginning. I'm a dancer and I was at home practicing some ballet last evening when I felt a lot of pressure in my lower abdominal area. I still kept dancing though. Why is... Okay, anyways. And then I started to feel some more pressure, but this time in more of my vaginal area, so I figured that can't be good. So I stopped, I went to the bathroom to go and check the IUD, and when I did, I could feel the strings. They were pretty long, but as I said in other videos, my strings have always been kind of long, but this time when I went to go check, they were literally coming out of my vagina. Like, I could feel them from the outside. I knew that wasn't good. So then I felt in the inside, and right, boo boo please, and right as I was feeling the outside of my cervix, I could feel something hard, something that I've never felt before. So I'm like, oh my god, am I pushing my uterus? Pushing my uterus out. Haha, that'd be horrible. Am I pushing my IUD out of my uterus while I'm dancing? So I didn't want to call my doctor late last night because I'm like, no, I don't want to be one of those patients who are always freaking out and calling the doctor for this thing and that thing. So I just held tight until this morning, and I called and I explained to the secretary, who also happens to be his wife, what was going on, and she couldn't believe what I was saying. But I'm like, yeah, I think it's coming out. And so she's like, okay, well, come in at 11, which was, it was 10:30 at the time that I called. I'm like, okay, did you forget I just had a baby? But I'll be there. So I get there, and I explain to him what I feel is going on, and he puts in the speculum and he's checking. He goes, oh, well, all I see is your strings. I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, are you feeling the strings? I'm like, well, and then he explained how the strings are supposed to tuck, and I'm like, yeah, I understand all that. However, my strings happen to be too long to even tuck. So I mean, aside from whatever I'm feeling, you could also go ahead and cut them for me, which he agreed to do, and he did. Now keep in mind, this is an emergency visit, so I am visiting about 2 weeks before my 1 month appointment. But anyway, so he agrees to cut the strings, and he does. So when he goes to cut the strings, he looks a little bit further, and he notices what I'm saying. I told him, look, I feel something that wasn't there before. It's kind of hard, doc. You need to whatever. And he goes, okay, I see what you're talking about. So he cuts the strings. He cuts about this much off of my strings, which is a pretty good length because, like I said, my strings are really long before they extend the entire length of my vaginal cavity. So I'm a little bit more comfortable now aside from that. Then he did a sonogram to check to see if the device was there, which we both knew it was there. And he wanted to measure its position because when he placed it... What are you doing? Are you trying to eat me? Okay. When he placed it, he did a sonogram just to make sure it was there and take a measurement of also where it was sitting in my uterus. So when he did the sonogram today, he discovered that yes, it did indeed move down in my uterus. So I got really upset about it because I'm like, is it gonna fall out? Am I gonna push it out by an accident, some kind of way? Uh, I really want this thing to stay in there. So I'm like, can't you just push it back up in there? And he's like, no, I can't do that. So I'm like, okay, great. What now? He said that he isn't going to remove it because it is still technically in the uterine cavity and it hasn't come down far enough, like come down to the cervix. So as long as it's not in the cervix, it's working. He said once it gets down to the point where it's in the cervix, it is no longer working and it will need to be removed. I asked him why does he think that my IUD moved down, and he said, some women's uterus are just uteruses. Is that proper English? Okay, whatever. The difference in uterus, basically, the size and shape of your uterus, and then also my uterus is tilted, so that may have something to do with it. He said some women, the IUD just doesn't work out for their uterus, so he told me to come back in a month, we'll check it again, and if it is down into the cervix, he's going to take it out, at which point he says he cannot put another one back in. That if that happened, then it's just not meant for my body. But yeah, so I'm put at ease somewhat. I'm really hoping it just kind of stays where it is and it's just the shape of my body and it kind of stays up there, because I'm paranoid and I do not want another baby for quite some time. This one is enough. Really interesting story though. While I was there, he told me a story because he's like, my wife told me that you said that you think it's coming out, and like, yes, it's possible for it to come out, but that doesn't happen too often. And he asked me, did you pull on your strings? I'm like, of course not. Why would I pull on my strings? And he said that he had a patient one time who had an IUD, and she came in and told him that her boyfriend pulled out her IUD because he thought it was a tampon. And he said her boyfriend must have had really strong hands to pull out her IUD because he thought it was a tampon. And I asked him, I'm like, wait a minute. He pulled out her IUD, like, I know that couldn't have just gone like that. What the heck was she thinking? Like, he had to be here, he'd be there for a little while, I guess, because I'm sure that just doesn't come out like that, just like a tampon comes out. Like, you're really gonna have to put some muscle into it and pull that thing out. Plus the wires are not easy to grasp enough to pull with your fingers. It's just insane. And I was like, I asked him, why did she stay there long enough to let him pull it out? Like, didn't she tell him? And he said, well, I don't know. He was fooling around with her down there and whatever. And that's just pretty much where the conversation stopped, because I'm like, you know what? This is awkward. I couldn't believe that. What did she think? Was it feeling good? That's insane. That's crazy. Yeah, ladies, make sure before you sleep with a guy, or before you let him dial your vagina phone, make sure you tell him that you have an IUD and there are strings, wires hanging out of your cervix, okay? Let them know, because they might be trying to pull that ish out like it's a tampon, which is disgusting, really fucking disgusting, that he would like reach in there, oh, I'm feeling a tampon, and pull it out. Oh my goodness. Oh, one more thing. My menstrual. So I had a menstrual on, I got my menstrual August 25th, and I had my IUD placed on August 28th. After I had it placed, my menstrual did get a little bit heavier, but it ended a few days later. And like I've been saying before, I had no spotting. I I wouldn't really. I'm not sure what happened, but on the 10th, I got what seemed like a period. I mean, it was bleeding like a light to medium, moderate flow of a menstrual. So I was wearing pads and all that, and it ended about yesterday, technically. So it only lasted a few days, but it seemed like a period. I'm not sure if it really was a period, but something tells me not. Something just really tells me that was shedding. As I've explained before, when you get an IUD, you go through a process where you begin to shed the lining of the uterus, even way down, even thinner than what your body naturally sheds during your menstrual. So I had no cramping, no menstrual symptoms whatsoever. So I'm assuming that that's what that was. But yes, I've been keeping track as I should be. So yeah, I'll give you an update if anything changes. I'm going back to my doctor in 1 month from today. Oh my goodness, boo boo. I'm going back to my doctor 1 month from today. So when I do, if I don't give you an update before then, I will definitely be giving you an update. He's going to do another sonogram just to make sure that it still is in the same place it was where he left it. So yeah, I'll be getting back to you guys. Alright. Do you want to say bye-bye or do you want to cry? Okay. Alright. Alright, bye everybody. Okay, wait. Where's my mouse? There we go.